for the mandibular, anterior, and premolar. It's limited for use in the lower, anterior, and premolar. Unlike your hoe, chisel scaler is used in a push motion. Push. Your hoe earlier is used in a, pull motion. Okay. This one is SCU 62. SCU 62. Okay. Next, we have the curettes. So instruments used for deep subgingival scaling, root planing, and removal of soft tissue lining in the pocket. Earlier, we were talking about the cross section. We mentioned that the cross section of your probe is what? Cross section of your probe is Anna. It is
Circular or
circular or round.
Round.
Circular or round. Okay, round. Some are flat, pero mostly circular or round. What about your scalar?
Triangle.
Triangular. Your curettes, the cross section of this is half round or half circle. Half round or half circle. Okay. Remember this, huh? So we have two types of curette. We have the universal and Gracie curette. We've talked about this already last week. We discussed that for the universal curette, it is at 90 degrees. Okay. This one is at 90 degrees with respect to the shaft. Whereas your Gracie curette is already pre-angulated at 70 degrees. Okay. We also discussed that for the universal curettes or the Columbia curettes, to be able to work effectively in removing the deposits on the tooth, you need to somehow angulate or deangulate. You need to somehow adapt the working end to the tooth surface at around 70 to 85 degrees. Whereas for the Gracie curette, for it to become effective in removing the deposit, the working end should be adapted to the tooth surface at around 60 to 70 degrees. Okay, 60 to 70 degrees. And since this one is already pre-angulated, it's already okay. Okay na siya. You don't have to find the proper angulation for you to have this adaptation on the tooth surface. Okay? Let's talk more about the universal curette or the Columbia curette. Sabi natin, you need to be able to adapt the working end with respect to the tooth surface at 70 to 85 degree angulation. 70 to 85 degree. Okay. We have two types of universal curette. You have your 2R2L and you have your 4R4L. So for your midterm exam, you will be given a table. You'll be given a table that here you have universal indication. Then here you will have Gracie indication. Okay, I'll be writing it here, them here. Okay, so for the universal, I want to see 2R/2L, 4R/4L. If you wrote 2R is 2L, that will be marked wrong. If you wrote 2L, 2R, that's also wrong. Okay, I want to see this one, 2R, 2L, and 4R, 4L. And for the indication, I want to see the complete indication. Okay, so that's why I uploaded another file para it's easier for you to review. So for 2R2L, it is used for supragingival and subgingival scaling and root planing of the anterior teeth. I want to see the entire thing. If you only wrote anterior teeth, that will be marked wrong. If you only wrote root planing of anterior teeth, that will also be marked wrong. Okay, I want to see the entire thing. Because last time during the prelim, still there are several students who did not follow the prescribed format for the diagnosis. Dami pa rin hindi sumunod sa format. Why? It's either you're not listening sa lecture, right? Or you didn't take down notes. That's why you didn't remember. This time around, I hope you took down notes, especially the graduating. Okay? Next, we have here 4R4L. For 4R4L, supragingival and subgingival scaling and root planing of all posterior teeth. Okay? Characterized by increased angulation. Again, universal curette is also known as Columbia curettes. You might get confused, baka I'll be using a different term. Okay? And for the Gracie curettes, these are also your area-specific curettes. What if I didn't use the term Gracie curettes? I used area-specific curettes. Then you're lost, diba? What are area-specific? Parang Doc did not lecture that. I did. It's the other term for the Gracie curette. Okay? So these curettes are termed area-specific because they are used on specific areas of the teeth. Okay? Not specific areas of the United States. That is in one of the multiple choice question. Okay? Specific areas of the teeth, not specific areas of the United States. Wala sasagot nun. Do not answer that. Okay? So again, it's already pre-angulated. So when you adapt the when you adapt the instrument to the tooth, you would be able to satisfy the 60 to 70 degree that is required for the blade to work effectively or efficiently. Okay? Yeah, 72 degree. You only have to angulate your instrument as parallel as you can to the long axis of the tooth. Again, angulation is different from adaptation. Angulation is the relationship of the instrument to the long axis of the tooth, while adaptation is the relationship of the working end or the terminal end to the tooth surface. This is adaptation. This is angulation. Okay? That's why I'm very careful when I use this term, angulation and adaptation. Okay? Excuse me. So let's now discuss the different Gracie curettes. So for the Gracie curettes, you always start at number 1. You always start at number 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Always start at 1 so that you won't get lost. Okay? Baka mamaya you're answering in the exam 6, 7. Okay? Baka you're answering 12, 13. That's already wrong. Okay? Always start at 1. So let's differentiate these different curettes. So Gracie curette 1, 2 is used for supragingival and subgingival scaling and root planing of anterior teeth, including canines. I want to see the entire thing also. Okay. Then we have here Gracie curette 3, 4. For Gracie curette 3, 4 is used for supragingival and subgingival scaling and root planing of anterior teeth. If you notice, 1, 2, anterior teeth. 3, 4, anterior teeth. Then we have 5, 6, 5, 6, anterior and premolar. Right? So if you are to choose between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which one do you think is more useful? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6?
5, 6.
It's
5,
better
6.
just buy the 5, 6 because you can use it for the anterior as well as in the premolar. So you don't have to buy the entire set because the function would just overlap. Okay. Then we have here 7 and 8. For 7, 8, you can use it for supragingival and subgingival scaling and root planing of premolars and molars. So buccal and lingual surfaces of the premolar and molars. Okay, I want to see this one. Buccal and lingual surfaces. Need to be specific. Whereas 9, 10 can be used for buccal and lingual surfaces of the molars only. 7 and 8 for premolar and molar, 9, 10 for the molars only. In the clinics, last time I asked I think they're requiring the students to buy the 9, 10. I don't know why, because if you buy 7, 8, you can use it on premolars and molars. Diba? 9, 10, you can only use it on molars, buccal and lingual. I don't know. I don't have any clinical duty, so I don't know why. Anyway, let's discuss now 11, 12. Okay. For 11, 12, supragingival and subgingival scaling and root planing on mesial of posterior teeth. Okay. I was telling you last time that if you can make a letter M out of the code, then that is used for the mesial of posterior. Okay. And lastly, we have here 13, 14. 13, 14 is used for the distal of the posterior teeth. There are other curettes available in the market. You have your mini 5, you have your after 5, you have your feather edge, you have your other uh, ever edge and other curettes. And we won't be discussing all of them. We'll just focus on the Gracie and the universal. Okay. So this is just a table comparing the Gracie and the universal curettes, area of use, okay, curvature, and the blade angle. Okay. I was talking about angulation last time. Okay, look at the angulation. When we say angulation, it's the relationship of the shank to the relationship of the handle. Sorry, relationship of the handle to the long axis of the tooth. Okay, look at the universal curette. For you to be able to maximize the use of the universal curette to make the working end more efficient or effective in cutting or removing the debris, you need to somehow find the proper angulation. Okay, but for the Gracie curette, what you just need to do is to position the handle as parallel as you can to the long axis of the tooth. So it's easier to use compared to your universal curette. Okay, it's easier to use. So we have a video here. Let me just remove my earphones. We have a video here showing you the different Gracie curettes.
To figure out which Gracie you want to use where, it can be a little tricky. So here's a little tip to help you figure out which one. First, the more bends an instrument has, the farther posterior it can go. So if you have these 3 instruments on your tray, the 1, 2, 11, 12, and 13, 14, see how the 13, 14 is way more bendy? This one's going to be your most distal instrument, and this one will be your mesial. Another one is if you look at the numbers and you kind of imagine with 11, 12, With the 11, you can make an M, so that'll be your mesial. With 13, 14, you can't make an M or any letter out of those numbers, so that'll be your distal. This instrument, 1, 2, is always anterior because it's perfectly straight. If you try to go distal or mesial with it in the posterior teeth, it's really hard to adapt. So the 11, 12 is a little less bendy than your 13, 14, so we know it's a mesial. And when you're going to place it on the tooth, this first bend closest to the cutting edge should be pointing towards the back of the mouth. If I use this other end, this bend is pointing to the anterior teeth, then it's the incorrect end. This is the 13, 14 instrument. This is the distal Gracey instrument. If you see, as I line up my instrument to the tooth, this first bend is towards the anterior teeth, and that's not what we want. We want this first bend, the closest bend to the cutting edge, towards the back of the mouth. So this is the proper working end. The 1, 2 is a little bit trickier because it's so straight, it doesn't have any bends. So to tell what end is the correct working end is you need to look at the face of the instrument, and it's going to kind of angle certain ways. The part that's pointing down, this is the cutting edge. Another way you can look at it is when you look at the instrument, the part that's sharpened is the cutting edge, and you can kind of see it looks flat and sharpened. This side is not sharpened and it's nice and round. It reflects a lot of light. This side does not. I'm going to hold this instrument up to the tooth, whatever tooth I want to work on, and I'm going to look at it, and I can see this edge is sharp, this edge is really rounded, so the sharp edge is the cutting edge, and this is going to be the mesial of 9 or 10, or the distal of 8 or 7.
Okay, so next we go to the instrumentation of Gracey curettes.
To use Gracey in the mouth, I'm going to start showing the 11, 12. So how you use this is you enter at 0, which sometimes, honestly, with 11, 12, it's kind of impossible. So you get 0. 0 means the face of the instrument and the tooth are touching. So you wiggle it down to the base of the pocket, come up on your fulcrum. That means this working the terminal shank of the instrument and the tooth are parallel. They're like railroad tracks. And then you're going to do short, lots of lateral pressure strokes. Ideally, you should never come out of the pocket while you're doing this. Then to stop, you're going to close back to 0. The face is going to go back on the tooth. You're just going to wiggle it out of the pocket like that. With the 11, 12, this is also for the buccal as well as the mesial. So as you get into the buccal, you're going to try to go as 0 as you can. Sometimes it's impossible, but just try to wiggle it down to 0 to the base of the pocket. Come up so the terminal shank and the tooth are lined up nice and parallel, and then short little millimeter strokes with good wrist motion. The nice thing about Gracey's is you are so subtle.
So look at the relationship of the handle with respect to the long axis of the tooth. This is Gracey curette. So you just position the handle parallel to the long axis of the tooth. And like in your universal curette, here,
section. It has a round.
what you need is to
Note that the lower shank is not parallel to the distal surface. Also, the functional shank is down and around the tooth. This is the incorrect working end. Look at the opposite working end. Note that the lower shank is parallel to the distal surface, and the functional shank goes up and over the tooth. This is the correct working end. Establish a finger rest and get ready for insertion. Turn the toe of the working end toward the distal surface, as this is the direction in which you will be working. Place the working end in the get ready zone at the distofacial line angle in the middle third of the crown. Prepare for insertion by lowering the instrument handle to establish a 0-degree angulation. Gently slide the working end beneath the gingival margin and onto the distal surface of the root. Pause to check your angulation. Remember that the face of a universal curette is at a 90-degree angle to the lower shank. If the lower shank is parallel with the distal surface, the face to tooth surface angulation is at 90 degrees. The lower shank must be tilted toward the distal surface to establish correct angulation of between 70 and 80 degrees. Adapt the toe third of the working end to the distal surface of the root. Imagine that you are locking the toe third against the toe surface. Instrument at least halfway across the distal surface. Reposition the working end for the facial surface. Gently slide the working end beneath the gingival margin. Imagine the face sliding along the facial surface all the way to the base of a shallow pocket. Lock the toe third and make controlled instrument strokes across the facial surface. Be sure that each upward stroke is distinct and that you pause slightly to relax your grasp and slide the working end back to the base of the pocket. As you approach the mesiofacial line, roll the handle slightly to maintain adaptation. Keep the toe third locked against the tooth surface during all instrumentation strokes. Make sure that your strokes extend past the midline of the mesial-proximal surface. Use of
So,
horizontal
look here.
stroke. Be sure
Oops, sorry.
section.
Ah,
And that you pause.
So for this one, if you look at the relationship of the long axis of the tooth with respect to the handle of the instrument, it is at a certain angulation for you to be able to satisfy how the working end is adapted to the tooth surface, right? Just remember, how should the working end be adapted on the tooth surface if you're using the Gracie curette? What's the angulation? What's the angle that we want for the Gracie curette?
Section.
How many degrees? I mentioned that
60
earlier.
to 70.
It's very good, 60 to 70 degrees. What about for the universal?
70 to
70 to 85 degrees. You need to remember that, huh? Yeah.
Tapos na ako, ang dami pa rin hindi naka-open yung camera. Anyway, so
For this one, we have already discussed this last time, so we'll just be skipping this one, okay? Skip this one. It's just the same slide anyway. Okay. So my question is, if a patient has a pacemaker, which one is contraindicated? Letter A, piezoelectric. Letter B, magnetostrictive. Letter C, ultrasonic scalar. Letter D, A and B. Letter E, all of the above.
D.
That is
A
letter
and D. D.
what's your answer? A and D? What about the others? If you're putting a pacemaker, which one is contraindicated? Piezoelectric, magnetostrictive, ultrasonic scalar. How about A and D? A and B to, huh? A and B? All of the above.
All of the above po.
Do you agree?
D.
The answer is tama. See, nakalimutan ko. Hindi ko. Miss Leanne, tama ba siya yung nagsalita? The answer is letter E. All of the above. Because ultrasonic scalars would include both piezoelectric and magnetostrictive. Okay, these are all the same. Magnetostrictive, magnetostrictive, piezoelectric, and ultrasonic scalars. So the answer is letter E, all of the above. Clear? Now?
Yes po, Doc. Yes.
Okay. Next, we discuss the instruments used for polishing after scaling. Of course, we have here the rubber cup, Profi brush, Profi paste. We have the pumice and the low speed or micromotor. Yes, Miss Lynn?
Doc, for the former slide,
Yes, which this one?
yeah,
Yeah.
for the patient with the pacemaker,
Mhm.
we can't use the piezoelectric.
Yes, you cannot
Oh,
use
also,
piezoelectric.
but in
Yes.
Canada, we are allowed to use it
I
unless
just
it's required or something.
I'm just not familiar with the protocol in Canada, but generally you cannot use the
The Philippines can use it.
ultrasonic scaler if the patient has pacemaker because it can alter the setting of the pacemaker. Are you doing it in a hospital setting or in a private clinic?
Private clinic. I work
But
in several private clinic. They all use it for
okay,
the pacemaker.
maybe
Use the
because
piezoelectric.
in Canada your setup is somehow holistic and advanced, but here in the Philippines, most of the time, dental clinics are in far-flung areas and which are far from the hospital. So in case something happens to the patient, they cannot rush the patient to the hospital immediately. Maybe that's
In
just a
Philippines,
safety
you can
protocol.
use.
Yeah, I think that's just the
Doc,
protocol,
yeah,
okay?
thank you.
Because it can alter the setting and the patient might die. That's why we don't usually use ultrasonic scaler if the patient's wearing pacemaker. You can try and pray. Okay, I hope the patient will not die. Okay, pray hard. Okay, I know one dentist, my friend, who used um, piezoelectric, and the patient has pacemaker. Patient still, is still alive, but you cannot risk, di ba? What if something happened to the patient? Okay,